Liz, can you lead us off with the Pledge of Allegiance? Come on, Liz, Pledge of Allegiance. Can you lead us off?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now, it is my pleasure to announce for the first time at Town Hall, Pastor Enrique LeBron. Did I say that correctly? And Pastor Enrique did you say LeBron, right?
LeBron, the basketball player.
There you go. That's what I figured. You gave me your business. You're from United Methodist Church in Riverhead, and you're going to do invocation. So welcome to the town of Riverhead. Would you like us to sit or stand? Everybody's sitting, so.
Be comfortable.
Okay, so you're going to do our invocation. Thank you, sir. Welcome to Riverhead.
Thank you. Lovely God, we praise your name and give you thanks for this moment that your people gather to bring their thoughts, ideas, and decisions together to make Riverhead a better place to live. We ask you to bless our families, our children going to school, playing in the playground or around the street. Bless them and guide them and protect them. Bless our teenagers as they take in charge of their commitments and responsibilities. Bless our men and women that work, study, and try to make the best with what their resources they have. But in this night, we ask you to guide us, give us wisdom, and help us to go through our business. Thank you for this holy opportunity, and continue with us, giving us peace. Amen.
Amen.
Thank
Pastor
you.
LeBron, you just started at United Methodist on East Main Street, right?
3 months ago.
3 months
Three
ago.
months ago.
I know there was an open, you were having an open house, or not an open house, but a coffee, and I missed it.
A
so
gathering day.
that was more recent, but well, welcome to Riverhead. Where are you from originally?
I came from Queens, Jackson Heights. We were leading 3 congregations, English, Spanish, and Chinese.
Oh my.
But the church alone spoke 18 languages. So that's Jackson Heights.
It might be a little easier here.
Here we have the fun and the opportunity to open Spanish ministry with our English congregation. So we're having a good time.
That's wonderful. Well, thank you very much,
This is your
sir.
church. This is your pastor.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Take care. Okay, so we have a guest and a proclamation. It seems that in the snapper tournament, we might have had a little bit of a problem with an award. So Ray, if you want to come up, I guess the board will come down and we bring up our third place winner, Michaela Nierengarten.
Let's do it right here.
I was going to say, was it how do you pronounce the last name?
Nierengarten.
Nierengarten. I was close.
Like the supervisor said, back in September, we had our snapper tournament, and Michaela caught the 3rd largest fish. But our judges seemed to get it wrong. So they awarded the trophy to somebody else after they told Michaela she had won. So poor Michaela had to go home without a trophy.
Michaela, that's what you call close enough for government work sometimes.
What a good sport, though.
But she was an excellent sport. You didn't hear a word from her. After speaking with her mom, we realized we did something wrong, and we wanted to correct that wrong. And here we are. We have the 3rd place trophy for Michaela for catching the 3rd largest fish. So
All right,
yay.
thank you very much.
We also got some T-shirts for you. See, they fit this. And for Mom and Dad.
Oh, thank you.
There you go.
So congratulations, great job. And keep coming back and catch larger fish.
How large was the fish?
Oh, don't ask me that.
It
It was
That's
this
a long
big.
snap. That's almost a little bit. Thank you very much.
All right,
Take care.
Thank
thanks,
you.
guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
8.5 inches snapper.
Thank you so much.
Okay. John,
All right,
Motion,
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the minutes of the town board meeting October 2nd, 2012. So move.
And seconded.
moved and seconded. Vote, please.
Giglio. Yes. Gabriel
Earlston.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
The minutes are approved.
Okay, Diane, reports.
Under reports, the police department submitted their monthly report for September. Tax receiver submitted the utility collection report for September, and that was $524,846.75. And the town of Riverhead, 2011 financial statements were submitted. Under correspondence, letter from Peter Janowski regarding North Shore Country Plaza at Wading River, and a collective civic associations and public interest groups, I won't name them, submitted a letter regarding improvements to ZBA and Planning Board appointment process. I have the letter if anyone's interested. Clearview Neighborhood Club submitted a letter of thanks regarding the public hearing of October 2nd, that's Chapter 101, Vehicles and Traffic, with regard to a stop sign at the intersection of Hinda Boulevard and Industrial Boulevard.
The Larry Williams stop sign.
Joseph and Elizabeth Komasinski submitted a letter regarding special permit petition of Philip Swatkevich. And that's it.
Okay, any other reports, committee reports? No? All right. We've got correspondence, we've got public hearings. We have two public hearings scheduled for today, and the first one set for 7:05, and 7:05 having arrived, we're going to open up public hearing for the consideration of a special use permit petition of Philip
Swatkowitz.
I know, you probably
With that name.
to construct a modular single-family dwelling in a place of pre-existing mobile home at 147 Washington Avenue. And I think that the applicant's represented by counsel, yes? Sir, if you want to give us your name and information for the record at the podium, and you have the...
The name is Thomas E. Behringer. I'm at 133 Halsey Street, Southampton. I hand you the affidavit of posting, mailing, and disclosure.
You better give us the name again for Diane.
Oh, I have it.
Okay.
Good evening. You may recall we met back in September at a work session. Decided that we needed to have a public hearing. So we noticed all the property owners.
Could you speak directly into the microphone? Thank you.
Which we have.
Thank you.
Noticed all the property owners. And at this point, I have the owner and the builder.
Where's our new microphones? I'm sorry, we ordered new microphones.
Okay.
I don't know where they are.
So speak into it like this. So we have noticed all the adjacent property owners with the mailing and a posting, and I have the property owner and the builder here. If you have any questions, I think that's really all we have to add at this point.
Okay. Does anybody from the neighborhood wish to be heard? Yes.
Good evening. Joseph Komasinski, 155 Washington Avenue.
All right, I'm going to stop you for a second. I don't know if this thing's working or not, but
Hello?
our process for special permits is have anyone other than an attorney sworn in, so I'm going to ask you to raise your right hand and state your name for the record.
Joseph Komasinski.
And do you swear that the testimony you're about to receive will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
My only points are the approval of the special permit would, from my perspective, significantly alter both the physical appearance of the property, as I see it, as well as the usage of the property. The trailer that was there before was basically an 8-foot wide, flat-roofed, 8 by 40, 320 square foot, 1 bedroom, 1 bath unit, and that's going to be replaced with a more permanent modular home, of which is more square in nature, and as well as a peaked roof. Now, the increase in size and square footage is over 80%. This increase in volume is even greater than that.
Do you know I'm going to ask the applicant questions myself when we're done, but do you know the size of the proposed trailer?
I believe it's the old trailer was roughly, the new one's about close to 600 square feet, maybe 580 square feet, okay. I think.
And you said it was a modular, not a trailer, or it is a trailer?
Well, the old one was the old style mobile home.
Single wide. This is a
Single
double.
wide, flat roofed, which again, from a volume standpoint, it was also situated on the other side of the yard, near the south side of the yard. So from my perspective, it was well hidden, fairly far away, and the proposed home is going to be more centrally located in the yard, therefore closer to my property.
I'm trying to get Rick's attention. Right,
And
keep going.
and then so it changes the how the house or the unit will appear to me. In addition, it's a 2-bedroom, 2-bath proposed home, rental unit, and so whereas before this very small 1-bedroom, 1-bath would either accommodate one person or two very close people, now you can have a family back there, and this is not an owner-occupied property. So this is a commercial enterprise.
Okay, so you're saying that the owner doesn't live there, because I believe that Mr. Berenger represented to us the last time he appeared before us that the elderly mother was living there.
Unless she drives a white van, I don't think she lives there.
We'll ask the applicant.
We'll ask him.
Okay.
Can I ask you a question? The old manufactured home that was there, could that be seen from the road or your house?
Well, it could be seen from. It was fairly well hidden from both the road because there were arborvitae, I think, in front of it, and then from my house there are some outbuildings that stand between.
And this one, will you be able to see from your house and
I would
the road?
anticipate that I would be able to see it more.
Okay.
So, and just, the usage of it's always the potential of what could happen. What I'm concerned about is, right now there's two young men living, I don't know how young, but the two men living in the front house, they could easily accommodate that in the back house. There's nothing to stop the property owner from increasing the size of the front house. And then going forward, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, what if they come again and want to increase the back house to 3 bedrooms? So those are my concerns.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to ask the applicant up at the end because I've got lots of questions. Anybody else from the neighborhood want to be heard?
Bob, in the meantime, can I ask you just a point of town code? To expand the non-conforming use, pre-existing non-conforming use in this manner, wouldn't you have to be owner-occupied on that property?
The premises had, based upon what I understand, two residences on it. There was a house in the mobile home, which, from what I understand, was never discontinued for more than a year. So the use was one that predated zoning and continued as non-conforming use.
Until they tore it down.
Until they tore it down. So they're looking to expand non-conforming use, and that's the reason for the special permit.
But I was of the understanding that the pre-existing non-conforming use of having an accessory was prior to 1965, so that's when the owner actually lived there, and the owner hasn't lived there for over a year. That's what I understood from what you had told me when you appeared before us at work session.
All right, we're going to have them come up. Let's do the residents first because we have lots of questions for you guys, I think. So we'll have them come up at the end to answer the questions. Mary, you would raise your right hand.
Could you state your name for the record, please?
Mary Andruszkiewicz.
And you have your hand raised, Ray. Do you swear the testimony you're about to give with the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
Mary Andruszkiewicz,
You can pull that down too.
139 Washington Avenue. I live in the house to the south of the subject property. I'm opposed to the application basically for the same reasons that Mr. Komisinski stated. The owners are proposing to replace a mobile home, which it was a mobile home. There are there were lights on the back and everything, and wheel axles, so it was an old mobile home. So they're looking to replace that with a permanent modular home, which, in essence, to me, subdivides the property, without going through the necessary subdivision approvals, and without the town conceivably collecting taxes on two distinct pieces of property. The mobile home was moved to the property, and I know this because the house I live in now, I was born and raised in. The mobile home was moved to the property in the very early 1960s, and the property owner at the time, she owned it. Her and her husband moved the mobile home there for their daughter to live in. So right from the get-go, when the mobile home was put on the property was owner-occupied.
Okay, so now we're going to clear, you're getting to the meat of some of these things. You're testifying that you've been there since
1963.
1963, and for...
Now you know how old I am.
Well, for full disclosure, we also, Mary works for the police department, but you're not here in that capacity.
No, not at all. Absolutely not.
The mobile home or the house combination was owner-occupied. Your next door neighbor was owner-occupied for how long?
Like I said, the mobile home was put there in the early 60s, and Mr. Komasinski, I think, can attest to that. He's my brother. And I can't tell you exactly...
Who was your brother? The gentleman doing the subdivision?
No, the gentleman that was just speaking.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
First speaker. Second
The
speaker.
first speaker.
Got it.
The property was owner-occupied up until Mr. Swatkevich's father passed away, and I don't know how long ago that was. I'm not even going to guess because I don't know. The woman that owned the property before him was the one who owned it back in the 60s or earlier than that, and she's the one who placed the mobile home on the property for her daughter.
And was it continuously occupied? I'm doing the math on the percentage of increase. Was it continuously occupied for the entire time, the mobile home and the main house? Was there always somebody in that?
For the most part, there was, yes. Yep. I'm also concerned about the number of tenants. Again, the mobile home was a one-bedroom, one-bathroom structure. The proposed modular home is 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms. So, of course, that allows for more tenants. I know there was an issue of overcrowding in the house that is being rented, the main house that is being rented now. I know there was an issue of overcrowding last year. And then the other thing, historically, the property has not been well maintained. You can see you used to be able to see the trailer or the mobile home from the road. It was blocked for the most part with shrubs and such. But you could certainly see it from the rear. You could see it from my backyard. You could see it from Mr. Komasinski's yard, and you could pretty much see, some of it from the road. But the property is not well maintained, and my property is well maintained. The property to the north, Mr. Komasinski's, is well maintained, and it clearly shows lack of pride in ownership. And and that's one of the things that bothers me. And I know the applicant at the ZBA meeting, I know they agreed to put up some sort of natural screening, but still, at the end of the day, I'm still opposed to it.
Well, you've given us some good information about the owner occupancy. Does anybody else have any questions?
Yeah.
Go ahead, John.
Go ahead. No, I just want to know, When was the last time you noticed somebody occupying that structure?
I want to say, and I, to be honest with you, I don't know exactly, but I'm pretty sure the trailer was taken down. It was taken down over a period of time, and I want to say that it was completely taken down by July or June of 2011. I think the folks that were living in it before it came down, they maybe moved out somewhere between January and March 2011. I really don't remember. I didn't take note of that, so I really can't. I don't think it was any later than March of 2011. I know it was cold when they moved out.
Thank you.
All right, does anybody else wish to be heard on this issue? Yes, in the back. I'm going to let the applicant go last because I have lots of questions. In the back, did I see a hand?
Can you get Rick up? Ask Rick a question.
Did you wave your hand, miss? Okay. Does anybody else wish to be heard on the matter?
Oh, yeah, over here.
Okay.
Sal Mastropolo, Calverton. Can we ask questions?
You can ask us questions and they will respond at the appropriate time.
Well, how big a piece of prop?
Sal?
I'm only going to ask a question. I'm not going to...
I know. You have some questions, but I got still swear. You swear the testimony about to give the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth. So,
I do.
Thank you.
.64.
I guess excuse me?
.64 acre.
.64, so it's not even 3/4 of an acre.
The
And it's-
property is, according to...
The prop-
Go ahead, ask your question.
What's the property zoned? RB 40? So it's one family. All right, it's been over a year, so the special permit really isn't grandfathered anymore. So why are we going to allow 2 residences on a one-family piece of property?
I'm not sure we are.
Thank you, that's my question.
Thank you.
Just to answer it, and I would like to have Rick come up because I want to make a copy of this. Well, I want to have it back, but we need some more information for the record. This is the subdivision map, or not subdivision, site plan map. Rick, if you could show this to the applicant, I want to make that part of the record, make sure they're okay with it. And then I'm going to ask a couple questions. Were you done, Sal?
Yes.
Okay. If you had other questions, you could say. Well, Rick's going to come up and I'm going to ask you guys a couple questions, but I want him to show you that. And we want to make that part of the record, which is the application.
Rick, can you go over that, please?
Is that okay? All right, so I'm looking at this, and Rick, you might need to respond to this, and I know you're not going to be able to do the math off the top of your head, but I did it. The trailer, you may need that application. I think the trailer, the new mobile home, which Councilman Wooten was correct, I think it's a double wide, it's 960 square feet. Can you give Mr. Hanley that? I did the math, so you don't have to do the math, but I think it's 960 square feet. And that represents if it's correct, the original trailer was 320 square feet. I did the math, and
It's superimposed there. Well, you don't have it in front of you.
What's the original trailer?
The original trailer is superimposed.
We want to have the builder address
That's
the
fine.
size.
The original, it appears to be 938 square feet.
The original trailer was 938?
That says existing house with roof.
All right, forget it if they...
It's
we'll have them.
really not clear from the drawing.
We had testimony, that's all right, then we won't ask that question, we'll ask them. The zoning we've established, this is a single-family zone.
RB 40.
Are you aware whether this, I don't mean to put you on the spot.
Sure, not at all.
Did the zoning board approve because this non-conforming use elapsed?
I'm thinking that the zoning board of appeals may have reinstituted a non-conforming use. I'd have to check to see the record, but I think that's what.
Because
What
there's
was
no
the-
record
that was the
here.
appeal.
You guys haven't given us a record, so we need a record.
But I'll check that.
Not you, the applicant. Okay. Did anybody else have questions for Rick?
No, I had a question, but I think it was answered.
Okay.
RB 40, you can put 2
40,000 square foot zone.
with a special permit. This owned
It's a
RV4.
residential district, single-family residential on 40,000 square feet. This special permit is for a non-conforming use, expansion of a non-conforming use. That's what this application's for.
Okay.
Okay. All right, let's have the applicant's attorney come up and you can introduce whoever you want. So I'm going to give you several questions that I need answers to.
Just before you get to the questions, we started the application process at the ZBA on March 22nd, 2012. You have a copy of the ZBA hearing, so this, we've been in the process prior to the lapse of the use.
Well, we don't, because this is a separate, you have to make a record for this apart from the ZBA. If you want us to incorporate the entire Zoning Board of Appeals record into this, we will.
At the work session, I gave you a copy of that decision.
I know, but
that's
works,
not-
this
okay.
is a public hearing. Do you want us to make a copy?
Yes.
Okay. So you're asking us to incorporate the entire Zoning Board of Appeals file into this record?
I apologize. I assumed it already was.
Okay.
Yes, I am.
We'll do that, Rick, so that'll be part of the record.
We've also we have a letter of pre-existing use from Richard Gadzinski, dated February 25th, 2011, and I think that's part of the record as well, that this is, in fact, a one-story wood frame single-family residence with a 10 by 12 rear deck, mobile home with covered front porch and two frame outbuildings. Now, just to keep this clear, we're proposing that we're going to take down the two sheds. The mobile home has obviously been taken out, so we're removing about 847 square feet of structure, replacing it with another correction. It's a 960 square foot modular exterior with an interior living space of about 768 square feet. It's one bath. And from there,
Okay. So now my question, I have more questions.
Okay.
See, the issue is this is a really large expansion of a non-conforming use. The testimony, and I'm going to ask you this, is the original unit was 8 by 40, and I think two people testified to that, so that was a 320 square foot unit.
they're not including the deck, and again, I'm going.
I'm not concerned about deck. I'm concerned about
Okay.
what the,
Fine.
as
Habitable
my
space.
father would call my grandmother's never mind, I won't.
Okay.
See, every once in a while I control that urge to say the things you shouldn't. This unit originally, unless you can tell us otherwise, was 320 square feet. You're proposing a 960 square foot unit. That's a 66.7% increase. That's 320 square feet. What'd I say? It's a 320 square foot unit, and it's a 960 square foot expansion. That's a 66% increase.
300%.
300%.
300%.
Just divide 960 by
You're right,
320
you're
is
right.
300.
That's why I went to law school. So it's a 300% increase, so that's even worse. Look at that, you caught the supervisor. Yeah, you're exactly right. Do you have precedent that we've ever done this? This is a huge increase of a non-conforming use.
No, I don't. We worked hard with the ZBA to downsize the size of the building, and that's.
Work hard. Build one that's 320 square feet. It's not that hard to work with. Now, there's testimony on the record that the pre-existing non-conforming use that ends after, if you discontinue a pre-existing non-conforming use for a year or more, it ends. So you have something that the letter of pre-existing non-conforming use from February of 11. That doesn't mean it continues forever. You've got testimony that it was taken down. I think you told us it was taken down last summer.
Yes.
You don't have the use anymore.
We were in the application process, and I would argue that continues that use while we're in the application. Until there's a denial, we haven't lost the use.
Until there's a denial, you haven't lost the use. I think you lose the use, and I'm not going to get into the legal aspect, but I think you lose the use after a year. I know you lose the use after a year, but we would be stayed while you're in the Zoning Board of Appeals process. So as the Zoning Board of Appeals giving you the use back.
Yes, they did.
you have a certificate that says the zoning board of appeals gave you the use back?
I have their decision.
All right, can I see that?
So the use, you're saying the zoning board of appeals has said the use exists, that you can have an accessory building.
I wanna see what it
because owner
says.
occupied. But you're here because you're trying to, you're seeking an expansion of a pre-existing non-conforming use. The zoning board
Correct.
may have determined that the pre-existing non-conforming, but now you want to expand it.
So that the record, there's no question, I think what we should do is have the ZBA decision made part of the record today. So I would,
Yeah, yes.
unless there's objection by the applicant, I would presume we're gonna make that part of today's hearing.
And he has the decision there.
Yeah, I asked him to make the whole record part of the decision.
So that's.
It's terrible. If you look at this, it doesn't even say, I'm a little bit at a loss here because it doesn't say. Yeah, just let the board look at this. It doesn't say that the use ended. Your application should have been to the zoning board of appeals, not only for the reestablishment of the use, but for the size of the unit. It doesn't say they reestablished the use.
I'd have to infer that by granting the application, they're granting the use. Go back in the record. You're right, it doesn't exactly say that.
At the time they granted it, was the front building owner occupied?
No.
All right, so now my question, because that's a good question, Councilwoman Giglio, there's testimony here that for 40-some-odd years it was owner-occupied. Would you take a covenant on the property to make it owner-occupied? Because the pre-existing non-conforming use that you seek has to be the same that you had unless the ZBA changed it. So you have a use of an owner-occupied, house with a mobile home unit in the back.
We would prefer not to, because it's somewhat of an untenable covenant. His mother is going to move into it, but like I said last time, she's not going to live forever. And now what do you do with it? Have a vacant house?
No, the problem is that the code frowns upon things that don't follow the zoning that's adopted. In other words, when a non-conforming use ends, the inference is that you go back to the code.
Sure.
It reverts back to the code. And your non-conforming use was owner-occupied. This is not owner-occupied. You have a 300% increase in size. I'm troubled by that because how big is the house that's on the premises? I don't mean to be rude, I'm just doing some math.
It's roughly 30 by 24. It's irregular.
I'm reading that zoning board of appeals gave you use to put it there, to put this modular home there. But they didn't extend the variance for usage for over that year. There's nothing there that says that we extended this once it's not occupied for a year. That was never extended.
You're right. The decision does not exactly say that, but they
Right.
granted.
They gave you permission to put it there with special conditions. You're supposed to take care of it. You're supposed to remove the sheds.
Right.
But they didn't extend the variance for the usage.
And for what it's worth, the building department's determination did not make any mention of owner-occupied.
Yeah, but that's the only way that you can have a second structure on a piece of property within our town is if it's owner-occupied. So, and the ZBA approval refers to the fact that you must take out a rental permit. It doesn't say rental permits. Because the way I'm reading this, they were not of the impression that both dwellings would be rented out. Because that doesn't happen anywhere in our town.
No, so I don't know why that would have to.
And the only way we give rental permits, it has to be, the property has to be owner occupied.
Oh, you're right.
Okay.
That's our code. The other thing I want to ask you, is this going to be a manufactured home with a skirt around it, or a modular home with a foundation? Or a manufactured home with a foundation? Because people are calling it different things. I don't know if it's a manufactured home or a modular home, if it has a foundation, or just has a skirt around it.
It may be now it's time to get the builder up.
That's fine.
Because
Okay.
I don't know.
Can he answer that question?
Sure.
Sir, if you could raise your right hand. Do you swear?
John DiStefano,
Bob, you want to swear me?
200 North McGee Street, Southampton, New York.
Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
Okay.
Ron,
It
I'm sorry, she missed your name. Could you state your
DISTEFANO. Okay, it's listed erroneously as a modular home, and it is not. It is a manufactured home, comes on a steel frame, and still has the wheels. Sean is coming up with a 300% increase. The old one that was there was 300.
Does it have a skirt or a foundation?
Skirt.
Is it going to have a skirt around it?
Right.
The wheels are going to stay on?
Yeah,
Okay,
same as the other one.
okay.
The tongue, of course, comes off, the same as the other one. The main structure itself, livable, habitable space, is 768 square feet. So how this is a 300% increase, 320 to 768,
I'm going by your survey, and your survey gives that we don't.
that
go
is
by-
showing,
we
excuse
don't
me,
go by
Sean.
the inside dimensions. We don't go by the inside dimensions, we go by the outside dimensions. It's your survey.
Okay, well, the outside dimensions on the old unit that was there had a porch attached and a deck. So that should be included in,
Habitable space.
correct? I mean, if it's tit for tat, you take the stuff that was there on the old one and include it in, and then you take the stuff on the new one, because this has got an 8-foot porch. The other one had an 8-foot, or much larger deck attached to the side of it.
It's habitable space, sir.
Exactly. So what Sean is saying right now, that it's not habitable space, that 8-foot by 24 is a deck on the end of the unit.
What I'm saying to you is, well, let's ask this question. Is this a double wide unit?
Yes.
Okay, so what is, each unit's 12 feet, correct?
12 feet wide, that's correct. 12 and 12 is 24.
So what I saw on the survey was 24 by, I don't have it in front of me, but 24 by 30 or something like that.
32.
32, so that's where you get your 960, isn't it? Total?
No, it's not. 24 times 32 is 768.
What is it?
No, if we're putting this on the record, it's 768. It's also been said that it is
Can
a...
you get me a copy of the survey, please, so I can do
I
the
can
math?
give you a copy of the plan.
I don't care about the plan, I care about the survey, sir. The survey-
Okay, so the survey should show that it has an 8-foot deck on the end of this.
I have a
It's-
survey, sir, in front of me that says that this property. Let's do the math again. 247. That says 1,296.
Okay, it's also been said that it's a 2-bedroom, 2-bath. It is not. It's a 2-bedroom, 1-bath.
What is the out, no, 48. What?
240.
This survey shows that the proposed
48 by,
house is
oh, I thought it was
27 by
24. Yeah, I thought it-
48.
Yeah. I thought
Pardon
it was 24, so, all right, well, this is worse for you.
This survey shows that the proposed house is 27 by 48.
No, it's not. Why it shows that?
I don't know, but that's what.
That survey wasn't corrected.
No, I have one that says it's 24 by 40, including the deck.
Yeah, this is, you,
Yeah.
oh my God, you guys need to go back to the drawing board here.
I don't know.
You really have to go back to the drawing board, because the survey that is part of our Riverhead Building Department shows 24 by 40, which is 960 square feet. Now you just passed up a survey that shows 27 by whatever the heck it is, which came out to 1,200 square feet.
This is not the proposed house.
I don't know what the proposed house is. But the larger one you just submitted would probably be a 400% increase. So I'm looking at this like, how, that couldn't have been that off with the math. Okay, that's what's on file in the planning department.
Council erroneously handed you the wrong survey.
Okay,
It could be a
So-
5-foot square house, we still can't get past the fact that the use has expired.
well, the use has expired and you've got, okay, so I see the unit has a proposed porch. That's one of the, this is one of these units that you see all over the place when we knock on thousands of mobile home doors, as the porch is built into the unit.
That's correct.
Okay. No matter how you cut it, you're either 24 by 40 or you're 24 by, what is that porch? 8 feet. So that's 32. You're still
Correct.
much, much larger than 320 square feet. So you're either probably about 250% larger or 300% larger.
So you're counting the porch on this, but you're not going to count the deck and porch that was there pre-existing attached to 320?
If you want to confirm my math, it's 20, oops, it's 24.
You see what I'm saying?
No, I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt, 24 by 32. So that's 768.
Correct.
240%.
So it's a 240, right, 240%, so I was pretty close with 250.
Okay, so my question,
So wait, do you have a precedent? That's the legal thing. I need a precedent or something that shows how we, 240% increase
so my question is, specifically, is you're counting the square footage of the habitable space and the porch as what?
is huge. Took it out. No, I just took it out.
I have not finished. Can I finish? Okay. So you took that porch out. There's the habitable space alone. Okay. There you go.
That's a 240% increase. That's huge. 10, 20%, not so huge. 240, much, much larger than I'm comfortable with.
Okay.
Unless you
Now,
show me
as
a precedent where
council,
we've done this.
as council also said, they're taking down the dilapidated shed, garage, and what else was there? Philip will tell you. He's the owner of the property. That square footage is coming off the property and not going back.
Here, you can take down those accessory usages, it's getting late already, which may not usages, let's go with that one. Man, when this gets to the court, the judges are gonna think, what is wrong with these people? If you take down the accessory uses, that may or may not be legal because you have more than one tool shed here. That's not something that I'm concerned with, because you probably have to take them down anyway, because you may have more than you're allowed. I'm concerned with two things, and I think the board has weighed in on this, and we'll see if they have any other questions. One, it's a 240% increase in size, or 300, either way, it's large. And the other thing is, your non-conforming use ended, according to the testimony here and what we had heard previously, because that mobile home trailer, 320 square foot trailer was taken down last summer. Is that accurate?
Oh, the foundation is still in the ground, yes.
And nobody's living on the foundation. So you lost your use. And so your zoning board of appeals doesn't say that your use has been reestablished. Right. And you've already testified you've lost your use. I don't have the power, this board doesn't have the power in our town code to reestablish your non-conforming use.
Only the ZBA can do that. So
Not
you would
for
have to go
use.
back to the ZBA and reestablish your use before we can rule on the special permit. Because we can't rule on anything that's not permitted by law.
Exactly, and I would hold this open if you wanted to, for you to have the ability to go back to do that if we could, Bob, but I would also suggest that we have to come up with some precedent that we've done this before, or really scale this maybe back to about 350 square feet or something. And you're putting two houses I don't know what it says about where I live, but my house is only 1,400 square feet, so you got two houses on a lot that's probably the same size that I have one single-family resident, as most of Jamesport in this area is. So I would, it's your choice. You guys tell us what you want to do. We'd have to talk to our attorney to leave it open. Can we leave this open, Bob? The hearing open and just continue it on if they want to try to go back to the zoning board?
I'm not sure if you can do that.
We have to have
Leave it
another
open at
hearing.
least
I
one
mean,
more.
we can leave it open if that's what you want to do in order to inquire what the ZBA decision actually granted them. It's my understanding the application was for the, and I haven't looked at the decision in a while, and it is silent on quote-unquote the use. It implies that they granted the second use because the area variance describes thing. And it also had the caveat that it was requiring a special permit, and the special permit requirement wouldn't make sense if there was only one use that was being granted by the zoning board of appeals decision.
Unless they established that the use had existed for more, or had not lapsed.
Well, we don't
for
have
a
the
one-year
record.
period,
We don't have the record from the ZBA
Right.
in front of us. And
No,
and
but they
I
just said
haven't.
it lapsed.
But even if it was to be scaled back to 320 square feet, I would want to see a covenant that it's owner occupied to make sure that the property is maintained. So I feel very strongly about that. I believe that all of our rental permits that we have in the town are owner occupied, and if they're not, we issue violations. So I feel very strongly about that this is a residential community, not a rental property, and should not be used for two rental uses on one property in a residential neighborhood.
This is not a commercial piece of property.
Excuse me, Jody, I'm the
Residential
builder.
piece.
Philip is the owner.
Okay, I'm just, that's my feeling on it.
All right, Mike, unless the board, does anybody else want to weigh in? I think your question, you really have to make a decision. I will leave this open for one more town board meeting, but I would like a decision from you folks on whether you're going to modify this application. Well, if they modify it, then we do have to rehear it, don't we? We do have to repost it.
Even if it's less than
Yeah, we're gonna
10.
screw ourselves up. I'm gonna have to close it and I'll leave it open for written comment. If we have to repost it, we'll repost it. Because the point is this, unless I have some precedent on the 240 square foot or 240% increase, you don't have my support. It's too big of an increase. And you have to get the zoning board of appeals to give you the use back. Because as Councilwoman Giglio said, this is a single family residential neighborhood. And this really is putting two, substantial houses on one piece of property, and that's not what it ever was. It never was that.
Right, I tell you, what was done in 1963, before zoning, turned out to be a problem. Zoning was created to straighten out a lot of these inconsistencies, and that's why they call it non-conforming and pre-existing. So once it expires, the new code really has to take precedent over the old code. So I certainly wouldn't want to see this happen all over the place. These pre-existings exist. The whole idea is let them extinguish in time. I think that's where we're at this point.
Yeah, because like he said, the only way we can start straightening these things out is when they expire, the use permits, the special use permits, so that we don't do them anymore. And that'll straighten out. We have a lot of non-conforming stuff in this town that was built before zoning, and the only way we can straighten it out is do it this way. So, So if the ZBA gives it to you, that's something different.
So you got it, I'm gonna close it, unless there's somebody else who wishes to be heard?
I would just say that also that the arguments before the zoning board of appeals for an area or dimensional setback are different than for a use variance. A use variance is that the use is not conducive to the zoning and that you have an economic hardship, and an area variance is based on the character of the neighborhood. So I would be curious as to what arguments were made before the zoning board of appeals to determine whether or not a use variance was actually granted or a area or dimensional setback variance was granted.
Following that comment from the councilperson, I think that I would recommend to the board that we have a chance to review the ZBA first before we make any determinations and conclusions as to what their relief was.
Okay, it's not an area, it's not a use variance, it's an area variance, but it doesn't reestablish the non-conforming use. Yes, sir, would you raise your right hand? It's just an area variance.
State your name for the record, please.
Philip Swatkowitz.
And
Philip Swatkowitz.
Do you swear the testimony about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you
Yeah,
God?
yes, I do.
Thank you.
Okay, if I thought this was going to get this far and this out of hand, I would have stopped this a long time ago. Just a little background, and I understand, really, I'm just going to speak because you're obviously going to put this off, and we'll go to the ZBA. I spent a lot of time there in the last 6 months. The trailer that was put on the property was put in there not in 1963. It had to be in maybe 1955 or 57. Actually, I have an old record. I'll go find it. My father put it there. I was not a teenager, and in 1960 I would have been 15 years old. So I know when it went in there, but I don't know what difference that makes anyway. It has not been owner-occupied for the last 10 years. That property was turned over to my brother and I about 10 years ago. We never lived there. I approached the town building department about it was an eyesore. It was terrible there, and we wanted to improve it and take it out of there. And they said, if you remove it, you have 1 year to replace it, or else you lose the right. So we said, okay. So it took a while. We didn't do something for a year or two, and we finally decided we had to do it. We went to them and said, wait a minute, if we remove it and we're in the process of doing this, if more than a year goes by, would we lose the right? They said, no. As long as you applied and do it, it stays there. So we went ahead and I've gone through the process this fall with it right now. So I'm just going to leave it at that. We'll go back to the Zoning Board of Appeals. We just wanted to fix the place up to make it look nice. It was an eyesore. It wasn't in keeping what the neighborhood was like, and we wanted to improve it to be, I guess you would say, nice neighbors. We understood we could have just slapped something right back down there that was there before, and it was done. But anyway, that's all I'm going to say right now about this.
Thank you, Phil.
Do you have any questions? Or?
No, the two issues really are, did you lose the use, and show us where we've done a 240% increase in, a non-conforming use. And I'm not aware of any, and we've done some, but not that large.
Well, we thought of taking the house down and putting a regular house up there. A house that would be, for a four-bedroom home and something bigger. Because there's the house on the property there now. It's got a porch that it's not winterized. It's just got 2 little bedrooms in it, so it's very tiny for the property. And the other piece was tiny, so build one thing there that was big. But I mean, we had to rip another thing down. It would have been expensive, so we just thought we would put something nice in the back and leave the one in the front. And I guess we're having a problem with that.
I think that's going to be problematic. I think your initial thoughts of taking them both down and building a nice house, the neighbors would appreciate it. Having a two-family house or 2 single-family houses on one small lot like this is problematic.
Okay.
All right, thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
All right, I'm going to close this out for written comment, for public comment, and leave it open to written comment until October 26th. Thank you. We have second public hearing. Scheduled for 7:10. That's a consideration of a local law amending Chapter 37 entitled Retirement of the Riverhead Town Code, early retirement incentive for the eligible full-time employees who are members of the Civil Service Employees Association, Inc. This is basically another retirement incentive. We've done very well with the retirement incentives. This one would give full medical benefits to retirees' spouses for, Tara, is it 4 years or 5 years? 4 years.
4 years.
Or the alternative, which would be the health insurance premium paid to the retiree if they didn't need that insurance. And it's been tremendously effective. It has been a tremendously effective tool for the town, and we're going to continue it, hopefully. Does anybody wish to be heard on this? Not seeing anybody, we will leave it, close the public comment portion and leave it open for written comment until
Yeah, that's
October
one, can I
26th.
make just a
Do
comment?
you want me not to close?
These things, these things
It's not
are.
closed.
No, these things are great because what we're doing, and the first one we did for this, for the municipal employees, we're retiring the high-paid people and we're replacing them with lower, paid people, to do the same work that they're doing now. We just did one for the police department, and we're gonna have, I think, 5 to 7 people for the police department retire that are highly paid, and we'll replace them with lower, new police officers. So this is helping the taxpayer of the town of Riverhead, and we want to continue to do that. So that's my comment.
Okay. Anybody wish to be heard? Not seeing anybody, we will close the public comment portion of the hearing out at this 8:56. Leave it open for written comment until October 26th. Now we're going to open up the public comment portion for resolutions. Sal, how do we do?
Not bad.
Well, we have a couple of amendments. I don't know if you want to do them as we get to those resolutions or ahead of time. On the resolution 793, which is the BOA grant, the contract award should go to Nelson Pope Voorhees LLC instead of Nelson Pope. That's just a small ministerial change. That was the applicant proposal. On resolution 825, that needs to be amended in the third resolve. That's the second page. And we need to add in the words notice of between A.
Can't hear you.
All right. Well, I'll talk loud. Can you hear me now? All right. I'll forget the microphone. So the second change will be in the third resolved. I'm going to add the words notice of between A and negative.
It's the second resolve, Bob.
I think it's, because the first one's now therefore being resolved, and then the second resolved is the one that
so what are
talks
we
about
putting
the
in there?
potential. So it's going to read that the planning department be directed to prepare a notice of negative declaration.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, anything else?
That's it.
Good. I love when people pronunciate. Sal, with
Growing up
feeling.
in a house of four boys, so you had to.
794,
Go.
the public notice. Fix the first sentence. You got 3 words repeated. To receive approximately, to receive approximately.
794.
794, the public notice, the first
public
sentence. After town of Riverhead expects,
Okay.
same words are repeated twice.
All right.
795. Are these funds coming out of Parks and Recreation?
CPF.
This comes out of Parks and Rec, not Parks and Rec, this comes out of CPF money and a grant that we
Okay,
got from New York State.
thank you.
This is probably more grant money. I think we already spent our CPF requirement.
796. The notice to bidders, the third paragraph. Beginning of the line's a little confusing. I don't know if somebody added words in there after the fact. A fee, $50, refundable fee. Just doesn't.
It'd be a $50 refundable fee, I would think.
But they put the answer is to show conditions.
Yeah, it's a $50, it is a $50 refundable fee.
Okay, so then just take out the word fee.
Yeah.
And the next one, 797, is the same thing. And that's it.
We're withdrawing this one, because we're gonna extend it for one, we have an extension in it anyway, so 797 will come out.
That's it.
Okay, anybody else wish to be heard on resolutions? Not seeing anyone. Diane? Yeah, I think so. Speak into it.
793.
Awards bid for implementation of New York State BOA grant. So moved.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
Yes, as amended with, pulling out the awardee, Nelson, Pope, and Voorhees. Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes, as amended.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 794.
This authorizes the town clerk to publish and post notice for public hearing regarding a community development block grant, the CDBG 2013 funds. So moved.
And seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
Yes, as amended, to remove the words receive approximately, which is written twice in the public notice. Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes is amended.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes, as the public notice is amended.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 795.
Awards bid for Weeping Willow Park Improvement Project contract. So moved.
And seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 796.
Authorizes the town clerk to publish and post the attached notice to bidders for the annual HVAC service and maintenance contract. So moved.
And seconded as amended.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes, as amended.
Walter.
Yes, and that's why it's making so much noise back there, because we don't have a contract, I guess.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 797.
I'd like to withdraw this, make a motion, we withdraw this resolution 797. So moved.
Second to withdraw.
Moved and seconded as to withdraw.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes,
Walter.
withdraw.
Yes.
Resolution is withdrawn. Resolution 799.
Awards bid on new traffic paint striping machine. So moved.
And seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 800.
799.
799. You're running one ahead of us.
Am I really?
Yeah.
Tara?
Oh, I missed 798.
798 is the last. 798. You rolled it
He
as.
did 798.
Yeah, it
Both
was
as
clicked on the
799.
back. Okay, let me fix that for a moment. Yeah. Okay. 799.
Declares lead agency, classifies and determines significance of action. Town of Riverhead Sewer District Treatment Plant, TMDL upgrade. So moved.
And seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
An unfunded mandate, but we have to do it, so yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 800.
Grant special use permit petition of Ottoman Enterprises, Inc. So moved.
And seconded.
Uh,
So you're gonna upgrade that gas station.
Yeah, no, I'm just looking for, I want to make sure adequate provisions made for flushing disposal of stormwater runoff. Good, moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 801.
Authorizes the retention of Grant Thurton LLP as an accounting expert in the matter Field Day et al. Versus the Town of Riverhead et al. And authorizes Smith, Finkelstein, Lumberg, Eisler, and Yakubowski to execute a retainer agreement regarding same. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
I just hate to hire people like this, but in this suit that we're involved in, they hired a specialist in accounting, so we have to hire one to take our side. So I have to vote yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 802.
Can I move 802, 803, 804, 805, 806?
Would you please?
As one? They all deal with,
806 withdraw.
Now, 805, you have to stop at.
oh,
So you're gonna move 802 through 805.
okay. 802 through 805, they all deal with recreation aids to the recreation department, so.
And George Gabrielson, moved and seconded as to 802, 803, 804, 805.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolutions 802, 803, 804, and 805 are adopted. Resolution 806.
Negative withdrawal of this. There was a problem with her qualifications for this job.
This can be withdrawn?
Yes, has to be
I
withdrawn.
make a motion, we withdraw, resolution 806. So moved.
And seconded.
Moved and seconded. Vote, please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
What was the problem with this?
She wasn't qualified for that position, I think. Doesn't qualify for title of recreation, really.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution 806 is withdrawn. Resolution 807.
Adopts local law to amend chapter 101 entitled Vehicles and Traffic of Riverhead Town Code. That'd be 101-3, stop and yield intersections, railroad crossings, and parking fields. So moved.
And seconded.
Moved and seconded. Vote, please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
It's Larry Williams,
That's it.
legislature.
Actually, it's
Larry,
for the
yes.
whole neighborhood
No,
now
it's-
that the,
It's
This is the Larry Williams.
Thank you,
stop.
Larry. Great job.
That's a yes.
That's a yes.
Okay. Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
I know people are laughing about this, but this is a residential neighborhood, and people are using this street as a shortcut, and they're speeding. It's public safety, I don't want nobody to get hurt. So we're putting a stop sign to try to curb, some of the traffic and speeding that we have there, so I vote yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 808.
authorizes town clerk to publish and post notice for GASB 45 actuarial services for town of Riverhead. So moved.
And seconded.
Moved and seconded. Vote, please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 809.
Authorization for allocation of highway fund balance. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Vote, please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 810.
Authorizes town clerk to publish and post notice for audit services for the Town of Riverhead Community Preservation Fund. So moved.
And seconded.
Moved and seconded. Vote, please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 811.
Authorize town clerk to publish and post notice for audit services for Town of Riverhead Justice Court. So moved.
And seconded.
Moved and seconded. Vote, please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 812.
Authorize town clerk to publish and post notice for annual audit services for Town of Riverhead. So moved.
And seconded.
Moved and seconded. Vote, please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 813.
Authorization to publish and post advertisement of request for proposal for collection and recycling of electronic waste. So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Vote, please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 814.
Authorization to publish and post advertisement for disposal of town-generated construction and demolition material. So moved.
And seconded.
Moved and seconded. Vote, please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 815.
Authorization to publish and post advertising for disposal and recycling of municipal solid waste. So moved.
And seconded.
Moved and seconded. Vote, please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 816.
Authorization to publish and post advertising for sale and surplus ground yard waste. So moved.
Oh, this is not the grinding of yard waste. I'm sorry. This is the,
Sale.
we have so much of it from
Okay,
recent
sales.
grinding. They're trying to get rid of it.
And seconded.
Moved and seconded. Vote, please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 817.
Authorize the filing of a claim for a refund from the state of New York for MTA payroll tax payments. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Vote, please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
A hoping and a wishing. Yes.
Wooten.
Right.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 818.
Authorizes acceptance of 5 full-time police officers' irrevocable letters of resignation for retirement purposes pursuant to the Early Retirement Incentive Program for for eligible full-time police officers of Chapter 37, Article 4, entitled Retirement of the Riverhead Town Code. So moved.
And seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 819.
Authorize town clerk to publish and post public notice to consider incorporation of certain private roads into the town of Riverhead's highway system pursuant to New York State Highway Law Section 189, Highways by Use. So moved.
And seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes, we get paid for maintenance by the state if they're public roads, so I vote yes.
Walter, yes.
Walter, yes. Resolution adopted. Resolution 820.
Authorizes the supervisor to execute a retainer agreement with Mary C. Hartel Esquire for legal services for the year 2012-2013 for Riverhead Youth Court. So moved.
And seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
I'm going to vote yes. Mary Hartel does an excellent job. These are the children that go to high school in Riverhead and Shoreham and Mercy.
And
There's a lot of kids in this.
And she teaches them law and how the criminal justice system works. And it makes great public speakers of them, and it gives them a little knowledge. If maybe they want to be an attorney, maybe they want to be a judge, maybe they don't want to commit crimes. So
Maybe they wanna be
I
a real
vote
judge.
yes.
You might pursue town supervisor.
That's it.
I vote yes too.
Walter. Resolution adopted. Resolution.
Yes.
Resolution 821.
Appoints a marriage officer. Councilman Wooten.
I'm only voting
So
on this
moved.
if he dresses like Elvis.
I've done stranger things, I can tell you that. That's an easy one.
I second that.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
After that, how can I refuse? Yes.
I should have seen.
Okay. Dunleavy.
I'm going to vote yes. He's helping our Diane out. There's just too many marriages and not enough time to do them. So we need another marriage officer. So Mr. Wooten, Councilman Wooten, volunteered to do this if he's illuminated, what, if you're paid. And sometimes he will get paid. On the weekends,
Not in town hall.
not in town hall.
Only
He
if
has
he
to
has
go
to go somewhere.
outside, okay. But I vote yes.
You stay away from the Brookhaven Bar.
Yes.
Walter.
See?
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 822.
Awards bid for water meters and accessory equipment for use in the Riverhead Water District. So moved.
And seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 823.
Authorize the supervisor to execute an agreement with Sidney Bowe and Son LLP. So moved.
And seconded.
Moved and seconded, and I thank Jody Giglio for this because she really pushed this, and I didn't agree with it in the beginning, but I completely agree with it now. Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Yes.
Wooten.
Good job.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 824.
Authorizes the supervisor to execute an agreement with D&B Engineers and Architects, PC. So moved.
And seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 825.
Declares lead agency, classifies and determines significance of action and approves application of McGann Mercy High School for wetland project and subject property described as Suffolk County Tax Map 0600-082-03-006. So moved as amended.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
I'm thinking that we should hire McGinn
Yes.
Dunleavy.
I want to vote yes. This is a win-win for the town of Riverhead. They're going to fix our drainage problem on one of our highways. And,
Somewhat fixed.
Somewhat
Not completely
fixed. Not
fixed.
completely. Somewhat fixed. They'll help us out. And they're going to triple the size of the wetlands. So I vote yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 826.
This authorizes the town clerk to publish and post a public notice to consider an amendment of freshwater wetlands inventory for McGann Mercy High School. So moved. And second.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Abelson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes to the public hearing.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 827.
Pays bills, so moved.
And seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Abelson.
Yes.
Wooten.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted.
Okay, now we open up the public meeting to comment on anything that you'd like to comment on that is before the board. We ask you to limit your comments to 5 minutes if you would. Liz, you're Stokes.
You first.
Hello, good evening. My name is Liz Stokes. I've come here tonight. This is only about the 4th or 5th time I've been to a town board meeting. And again, I have to compliment this town board because you really pay attention to what is best for the community. I'm not here to ask for money. You're very lucky. I am, however, here to talk
You
about
already
something near and dear to my heart. No, I'm not. I don't even want to see you anywhere, Jim. One divorce was enough in a lifetime. Our assisted living plans. This is very near and dear to my heart. I have a lot of friends who are up in the 80s, and I've watched some of them being told, as they cry, they have to leave the town that they love. And they go down to an assisted living in Smithtown. Yes, there's one out east. Smithtown one was cheaper. And I've watched this over and over again, and it breaks my heart. Someone who gives their life to this town, raises their kids, puts their kids through school, belongs to all the civic associations, really deserves better from this town. When we started building all the 55 and over parks and condominium complexes, we should have been thinking of this now. Well, it's here now. I don't know what to say to these people. You know, when they come to me and they say, Liz, there's no, I have to go into this place. Well, it's a shame. It's a shame that Riverhead Town doesn't have an assisted living complex. I urge this town board to please look at this assisted living project that is on the board. It is in a beautiful place. It's close to the hospital. Peconic Bay agrees with everything. There are stores there. And why should it not be built on a place that is just a perfect description of what Riverhead is? It's got retail and commerce on one side of it, and the other part of it is our beautiful farms and scenery. And they deserve it. Our seniors deserve it. So I hope the town board considers this in a positive note. And if you need me to come and speak again, I will be more than happy to bring 25 or 50 seniors with me. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Liz.
All right.
Thank you.
Next. Dominique Mendez.
Hello, Dominique Mendez, Riverhead Neighborhood Preservation Coalition. Here tonight to talk about something that I submitted last week. It was a letter with some suggestions for improvements to the ZBA Planning Board and Planning Board appointment process. The letter was co-signed by 4 civics, the Calverton, the Wading River, the Jamesport, and the Sound Park Heights, which is the Reeves Park group. Also the North Fork Environmental Council and the group for the East End. We have, some serious concerns and some suggestions that might make things better. I'm going to read you just a couple of excerpts from that letter, although it wasn't a particularly long letter, at least not by my standards. As you know, both of these are appointed boards, the ZBA and Planning Board, but they make decisions. The decisions they render have significant impact on the neighborhoods, rural routes, and business districts of our town. We believe, and I'm speaking on behalf of all of those undersigned groups, that a more standardized, professional, and open process will not only assist the town board in making the best decisions, but also serve the public interest. In order to serve on either planning board or ZBA, we think an appointee should possess some very basic qualifications. At the very least, all appointees should have 2 years of experience dealing with land use issues from any number of a variety of perspectives. It might be a planner, architect, engineer, former official, civic leader, environmentalist. Any of those might do. The goal is that the board should be comprised of members with a broad range of relevant backgrounds, with different perspectives and areas of expertise are represented. It's not really a matter, it shouldn't be a matter of party affiliation, a political party, or philosophy. If that's all they have to base their decisions on, we're not sure that they're going to render good decisions. They should have some experience and then combine that with their, personal philosophies. In fact, you decided that someone didn't have maybe enough experience for recreational aid 1, and I'm thinking that somehow a ZBA or planning board appointment you should have some expectations and some qualifications there too.
I want to just chime in here. It was Bob Kozakevich was the supervisor, and I drafted it, and it never got passed. We drafted minimum requirements for the, I think it was planning board, not zoning board. And I'm sure that computer system's long since gone in the town attorney's office. But I agree with you, and I think that we should talk to the town attorney's office. So Bob, can we look, I think in the state code there are some guidelines as to minimum qualifications that we could put in for zoning and planning board, or it might have been that the Association of Towns had some minimum qualifications, and we should codify the training requirements from the state law. So I agree with that, and I think we should look into that. And
Great.
They're not onerous; they don't require much, but something would be good. So Supervisor Kozakevich is the first one that proposed that. It just didn't happen 10 years ago, so maybe we'll get it to happen.
And we've collected some information too that might be helpful that I can send along.
Yeah, that would be fine. I don't know who would draft that. We don't have to really go to code revision with it. If we can put something together and submit it to the board, that'd be fine.
Yeah, and even standardizing the interview process. It would help standardize the interview process a bit.
Public hearing. No, it got shut down. I don't remember why, but it got shut down. I wrote it. I don't know where it went. I'm sorry.
No,
so
it's
okay. I'm going to propose that.
Great.
And I don't think that's a big deal.
The other part of it is...
that other part was problematic for me, but go ahead.
Right, 2 other towns have this, Brookhaven and Southampton, where they have a public form of an interview. Of course, you're not going to interview 10 people, and I don't think that you normally... I don't even know if you hold any formal interviews, but this would require you to do so. And... publicly, not that the public is asking them questions. You are asking them questions. The public can be present. We should have a resume in advance. It just makes us, we could witness the process, and it's a more open process. We're not going to be shouting questions out at people.
I can't go along with. I don't think it's proper when you're interviewing somebody for a job to subject that person even to a public process of an interview. And honestly, I don't know how Southampton. I don't think that makes for a better process. I think they're going to act differently on camera than they are going to act in a private interview, and I can't follow you there, and I can't for the life of me figure out why Southampton elected officials are Brookhaven. I think that's a good idea. But I'll go with you on the first one, but not the second one.
Well, there are 4 other members too, and they might have an opinion. It might be the same as yours, and it might not.
I'm sure they have an opinion, but it just seems to me that you're going to wind up. You're going to put somebody on camera and interview them for a job. That's problematic.
Well, no, I think it's a personnel matter, and personnel matters are.
Well,
I mean, it's a board.
It doesn't have to be on camera.
It is. They're still. They get paid by the town of Riverhead.
Right.
And so I consider it a personnel matter, and personnel matters are subject to scrutiny and privacy.
Laundry rather sturdy and clean out there for the cameras to watch.
Well, maybe we can get some more information from you from the other towns and how that works and how it's not a problem, and maybe you'll reconsider that.
I agree.
1 out of 2 is not bad, Dominic.
I
That's
agree,
good.
we should have some,
I'm not sure they do it.
some minimum
Okay,
qualifications.
but I'm not sure they do a public interview.
They do. Sid,
I think
Sid,
they-
is, Sid is sat there
I
and
think
in them.
they post the resumes and those that are interested, but I don't think they.
Well, they do actually, yeah, the resumes are available, but they do actually have, they do go through the process and have a public interview, and Southampton definitely does it. That was an issue down there, and that there'd be a more open process, since, like I said, the decisions they make are binding and are critical decisions for the town, and they're not voted in, they're appointed, so it's more important that that process be more open. And my guess is you could have, of course, other conversations with them. This wouldn't necessarily be the sole conversation you had with them. And I wouldn't imagine it would be a formal, the same sort of interview that you might have as a private interview. Probably a slightly different sort of interview that you would have in public.
Well, 1 out of 2 isn't so bad.
Well,
Give us some more information. But
I will get you some more
I don't
information on that,
think you're-
on how that works in other towns, and I
Yeah,
hope you'll
think
reconsider.
that's going to be problematic for
Yeah.
the board.
I can see a
Sounds
public interview on how they will decide things, what philosophies they will use.
That's some of the
But I
questions you'd ask.
couldn't, have a public on their application, and embarrass them and go over their application. You know, some people might have been, arrested for something, you know, and so leave that out to the public.
Let's
But I mean,
move on.
leave that out to the public for you to question, and I don't think it's right.
Oh.
And some people will.
Smokes is right. We don't
We'll
hire
question
those.
these things. No, listen, there's people that are involved in accidents that risk the DWI.
It's probably
that
not
have
appearing
done
on their
stuff
resume,
and-
though.
and they're I mean, you know, not all arrests are criminal and they shoot somebody or rob something. But there's other arrests that happen.
All right. What else
Okay?
you got, Dominic?
I mean, it's not a joke.
Okay, then. I think that would be it for now.
Building
thank
and
you.
planning went through a grueling interview process, along with all the other applicants.
Yes. All right.
Oh, yeah, I'm
let's-
sure, but these are, they make binding decisions, they're appointed boards. It's, I do think it's a little bit different.
All right.
So, and other towns do. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Dom. Nick.
Yes, next. Good evening.
Good evening. A little short, can you see me?
I can see you, but who are you? And who do you
I'm
represent?
Amanda Jane Brown. I'm a resident of Riverhead. I'm
Good evening,
here
Ms.
in
Brown.
response to a letter that was sent to the RHDC regarding the relocation of our office. As you can see, I brought an entourage.
I'm not aware of a letter we sent.
He's more.
I know what they're talking about, but we didn't send a letter. I just went down to meet them and told them personally that the board had made a decision to sell the building.
Well, nevertheless,
Go
we'll go
ahead.
past that. I am the president of the RHDC board, so I represent the board. My question here is there any particular reason why you choose not to relocate us?
It's a-
And also, I'm not finished, and then you can answer.
Okay.
I like to read what I wrote.
That's fine.
This way, I won't forget anything. My name is Amanda Jane Brown. I'm a resident of the town of Riverhead. I was vice president and now president of the RHDC board. I have a lot of history with the Housing Choice Voucher Program and know firsthand the good things that they do for the people of Riverhead. There are some of our seniors here tonight due to lack of transportation and health reasons. Others could not be here, but they will be at the next meeting. I'd like for you to explain why you do not want this RHDC in the town of Riverhead. Why would you want the RHDC run by an outside agency such as North Fork or Southampton to service the people of Riverhead? And why wasn't the RHDC board notified that you were offering the RHDC out to other agencies? As president of the RHDC board, I need for you to explain to me so I can explain to the board and we can explain to the clients. Bottom line, I would like to know why you refuse to house the RHDC, support, or better yet, why don't you want the RHDC program in Riverhead? There's an old saying, if it's not broke, why fix it? Are you saying it's broke?
Is it my turn?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Pretty much most of those things that you've stated there are assumptions that are not based on facts. So I will try to let you know where we are where I am and where I think the board is. The town board is in desperate financial straits. Not the town board, but the town general fund. We are looking, the town is facing a 14% tax increase. We've laid employees off in 2010. We've laid employees off potentially at the end of this year. The town has less than 3 years to correct this problem, or the tax increase is coming. We have cut and cut and cut. We can no longer keep the East Lawn building because it is falling down around you. As you know, it's a beautiful building on the inside. It costs the town something on the order of just for the air conditioning and the electric, $20,000. The town has been providing RHDC free rent probably since its inception. I would love the program. I want the program to continue in Riverhead. I want to support the program, but it's time in the East Lawn building is not, if we sell it, it's not going to be that they can stay there. I would be willing to help, as I said to your executive director, to try to find alternative space for you. The problem is that we don't have any space. We're jamming people in all different locations, and until such time as we have the money, which is at least 2 or 3 years away, to put the police department and justice court into the armory, we're going to be busting at the seams. It's also time for everybody within the sound of my voice to start rethinking how they do business in government. It can't continue business as usual. The 2% tax cap, which I am a strong supporter of, has dictated that. Unfortunately, the tax cap did not come with mandate relief. The Riverhead town, and I didn't really realize this until this budget, and shame on me, Riverhead town actually funds the RHDC to the tune of, without the subsidy for rent, $14,000 a year. The board may know this, or we're going to know it now. We pay your accounting, your financial audit of $8,500, your phones for about $2,500, and there's something else in there about $2,500. It may be IT services. We provide all your, I think we provide all your IT services, insurance liability, that's it. And the town is not in a position that we can continue to do everything and house you for free. So we'd love to find another home. And when I start to talk about things and cuts, the worst job that I've ever had in my life is to take a person's job away. And I don't want to have to do that, and that's not my desire to do that. And it is something I don't take lightly. But we all have to start rowing in the same direction. And I have not I have not publicly said we're combining or moving you out of Riverhead. I don't think that's the intention of the board. However, that being said, if there are economies of scale between the Riverhead RDC and the North Shore RDC and the Southampton RDC, economies of scale where our residents will be served just as well as they are now or better, then those are things we have to look at. If those things aren't something that would work, then we'll know, but the board has an obligation to the taxpayers to look at it. So what I think the board is asking, because we've made the decision to sell the building, is that you folks have to start looking to find something, and we'll help. But financially, it's not something that we can do at this point. So that's it in a nutshell, and there are going to be, I know you're meeting with town board members individually. I think there are some plans to have some meetings with other agencies to see if there's a way to combine and obtain the same services at a discounted price. Not a discounted price, but the economies of scale. So we're going to look at everything. It's also very interesting to me. It's actually stunning to me. Your charter calls you an instrumentality of the town of Riverhead, but yet you have not one town board member on your board, And I don't think that's your fault. Somebody should do that. And we have residents, we have people on your board that aren't even residents of the town. So I think that we've done a disservice to your organization because we haven't paid attention to you. And so now we are.
You have been invited to join the board, but no one has responded.
Nobody asked me.
No. No one, no, I've been here for 7 years, no one's asked me.
Well, I can tell you if there's, I'm aware of what you do.
Excuse me?
I am aware of what your organization stands for and what you do for the citizens of Riverhead, so we don't take that lightly. And we will certainly do all we can to make sure that those services continue there.
But don't forget, and I remember, 85% of your clients are senior citizens.
Yes, they are.
And we have to look out locally for our senior citizens. So if we spend $14,000, that $14,000 is doing very good in the town of Riverhead.
Yes,
I mean, I think HUD gives us $1.8 million in rent subsidies. And you guys make sure that these people go in rental housing that we've inspected. Where an outside agency may not do that, may just put them in anything that they can find to put somebody in. So I think you guys are doing a great job, and I would spend the $14,000 to keep you here. But you have to ask HUD. Maybe HUD will pay for rent for you, seeing that's the agency that controls you and gives you your funds. Maybe HUD will pay for rent for you to go outside and rent a building. But I think $14,000 is very little for what you guys do for our senior citizen population and our disadvantaged population in the town of Riverhead. And I want to thank you people.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we also, from our meeting the other day, we do, before you do place anybody in a house, you have them make sure they have a rental permit from the town, and so the owner of the house that you are putting them in has to come to the town of Riverhead and pay a fee to get the rental permit. And we're thinking about, it's on the table to raise the rental fees, so we might be able to bring in the revenue that would cover the cost in just the, I think you said 78 houses. How many houses did you say you have rental?
I don't have that with me.
Okay.
196 vouchers, though, you give out in the town, and a little bit few in Southampton, correct?
Yeah, I think you have 224
We have 200
clients,
Right.
right?
Vouchers,
With
right.
between the town of Riverhead and some people are sent here from the town of
Maybe one or two.
Southampton.
One or
But
two.
you guys make sure they go into rental houses that have been inspected and have permits, and you guys inspect, every one of these houses are inspected once a year by you people. So, I mean, this is something we're trying to get people to do, is move into inspected rental housing. And we have too many people that are living in dilapidated housing, and they're renting them. So, you know,
Ms.
No one
Brown?
is placed
I think,
unless there's a rent.
Supervisor brings the 14,000 up, but I think it's money well spent.
Ms. Brown, can I ask you just one thing, just so people are aware? How much space do you occupy now? You have a conference room and an office space?
We have 3 offices, a bathroom. We have the conference room downstairs, which I guess everybody
It's
uses.
universal. That's universal, right?
Shared.
Okay, so it's not a lot of space you need.
No.
Okay.
It's a beautiful space. I wish that the town board could move their offices. but
Well,
the
I have
problem
more
is-
problem with the town destroying. I don't know what we're gonna do with her.
Yeah, we haven't figured that out yet.
That's
But
a
she's
big one.
actually an employee of the town. We'll get there.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
My name is,
Could you raise the
Alexander.
microphone up?
My name is Alexander Ott. I'm here on behalf of the Riverhead Housing, and I'm going to tell you that due to our circumstances and our health, we're not able to move out of town. I've been here for about 8 years. I have been on the HUD, the Section 8, and it has worked out very well. Riverhead Housing Development and their inspection has come out and relieved quite a few problems that the management of John Wesley would not address.
You know, it's interesting, yeah, I don't mean to interrupt, so if it's okay, can I interrupt?
Sure.
Okay. I did make a phone call to Tim Moore, we played Jim
Jim.
Moore,
Sorry.
and we played telephone tag, but I was gonna see whether, because a bulk of the vouchers are in John Wesley, to see if they had some space available to us. And so I will try to reach out to Mr. Moore again. And I did.
They have 3 clubhouses there, one of which in 2 is not really used.
No.
Yeah, so that was my thought, is maybe we could get the offices in there, and that would put you
That would
in
be fantastic.
closer contact with a lot of your
Actually, they wanted to-
clients. But again, I haven't reached out to Mr. Moore, so now the press will do that, and he'll call me irate and say,
But
"What
like I said, my wife is in a wheelchair. I have problems. I'm 79. She's 76. She's got AFib plus she was a cancer survivor, and it's going to be very difficult if this goes to an outside organization and they raise our rent. You know,
No, that's not something that's even envisioned. Has nothing to do with the rent or raising the rent. It really just has to do with,
well, if you make them go outside the corporation, you're gonna outsource.
Nope.
You're not gonna outsource.
no, that's not,
And this is a political promise or just a promise?
no, it's not a political promise. There are different agencies, like, for example, there's North Fork Housing Alliance does all of North Fork, except Greenport, as I understand it. Greenport does their own, Southampton has their own into Flanders, and so maybe it's time, listen, people don't want to combine school districts and things like this, but maybe it's time that there's an East End Housing Alliance that does it all. I don't know if that's the answer. It's not outsourcing, it's just looking at things from a different lens.
But the problem with that is too,
I've had very good service from Riverhead Housing. I've been 8 years with them, and it's been excellent.
And you may continue to have very good experience with them. We may never do anything. We may do something and you'll have even better experience. But I can promise you one thing: we're not going to make it so it's worse. That I can promise you.
At my age, I don't want to be thrown under the bus.
right,
We will
no,
not do
no.
that.
And I don't think the client should
Tommy's
be,
not driving.
should be subjected to driving over to, or getting over to Southampton, or going out east to someplace where you may not have a vehicle, you may have to get a taxi cab, or you may have to wait for a bus. But I don't think that we should treat our senior citizens like that and make them say you have to go to Southampton or you have to go out to East End of Long Island or North Fork to get your approvals and inspection dates and
Let
stuff.
me ask you a
Thank
question.
Yes, sir.
Because everyone talks about going there. How often do you actually go to that building?
Oh, I think I go to there maybe twice, sometimes 3 times a year.
To our East Lawn building?
Yeah.
So if we were to look at other ways of doing this, regardless of who does it, regardless of what agency does it, Riverhead, an East End, a North Fork, as long as an office is in Riverhead that's open, that you can do it, you don't.
As long as it's a ground floor. Like
Well,
you
that's
read
the
it.
key, because I'm looking at some of you folks, and if you're in a wheelchair, you're not accessing that building.
I can't even access your walks out there that they put up. They still got poles in the front, in the middle of the highway.
Yeah.
But if we outsource it, I'm saying outsource it, we're gonna outsource it to another organization. One thing, if we demand them open an office in Riverhead,
Absolutely.
they may not want it because it's gonna add expenses to their agency to open this office here. So
Yeah.
I would think that would be a determination that they couldn't comply with.
Well, John, I think they would, because they'd condense all their administrations. They'd eliminate quite a bit of money just to operate it, so they would have the extra money.
We just
I'm
don't know.
saying that-
I don't want to debate that
Yeah,
here,
okay,
because
okay.
we don't want to debate that
They
here.
have
What-
more money.
It's still an open question.
You have our assurance that we're only going to make the service better, not worse, and getting it on the ground floor right then and there, if we could do that, makes it better. But we just, It's an unanswered question.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for your consideration.
Yes, miss.
Good evening. My name is Emily Hamill. I'm here for the same reason as the two people. I just want to point out, and somewhat this gentleman had said, Mr. Donnelly, the cost to the senior citizens if they have to go to Southampton. Santa Mauritius was mentioned as a place that you may work with. You know what gas costs. So, all right, Southampton may only take 2 gallons of gas, but that's $8 one way, 16 both ways. That's if you have a car. So many of the people I know in the complex I'm in don't have transportation. And it's not a situation where a family member could take them. You have to recertify every year. And there's usually maybe 2 or 3 other times during the year that you would go to the housing office. Family members work. I know in my situation there isn't anyone in my family that could take me for an appointment during the week. This would put a tremendous burden on these people, not just myself, but everyone else that's involved. It's a terrific program. The Riverhead group is a fantastic group. I don't want to go into a lengthy story about the Southampton group, but that's where I had started this whole process. I moved into Riverhead Landing. I was there a month and 3 days, and I get a call from the front office that I owe $1,900, that the housing authority had not paid my rent. Why hadn't they paid it? They failed to inspect the apartment. So all of a sudden I called them. Oh, sorry. All the paperwork was sent to them from Riverhead Landing to continue the process. I knew nothing about inspections at that point when I moved in. This is a month and 3 days later. Meanwhile, I'm going into the second month. I owe another month's rent.
Did it get resolved?
No, I had to come up with the funds. And fortunately, I had some very good people that helped me out with this.
Well, all we can say is if anything changes, the goal is to make it better, not worse. Ground floor, not apartment, ground floor, we wouldn't even have thought of that if you didn't come. And if Southampton doesn't work, Southampton doesn't work.
There's so much
we don't have the
vacant
answer yet.
office space in Riverhead, and I understand that that is the cost that you're concerned about too. But you're not talking about big money in this situation. This gentleman talked about $14,000 a year. It's well worth every penny of it. So I would hope that you would do more than just think about it, that you would work diligently on trying to resolve this for the benefit of a lot of residents. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I think that in any budget crisis, the ones that give more and are taken away are your seniors and your youth, and that's what we're doing. We're not
You're
replacing
right. It
youth
always
group.
seems that in a time of a budget
yes,
crisis like
and
we're
our
having
seniors,
on the
and I don't think it's
national
right.
level, you want to take away from those that can least afford it.
That's right.
Well, we won't. That I can promise you.
Hi, my name's Veronica Elson, and I have been dealing with the Housing Authority for the past 8 years, and I have to say, if it wasn't for them, I would not be here. I survived a massive stroke on my left side. I'm a cancer survivor, and I don't know how I would live if it wasn't for them. There are so many of us elderly that don't have transportation, that are unable to travel, either physically or financially. And it would be appreciated if they would be considered. Mr. Dunleavy, you sound like you are for the seniors. In fact, I've seen you at the senior center several times, and it is. It's pitiful that the seniors don't get more than what they do get. And now to upset them and to have to move them, change in an older person is very difficult, very, very difficult. I don't know if you're aware of that, but most elderly people cannot accept change.
No, that's
and
for sure.
I appreciate whatever consideration you can give. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Jerome Richard. I live in John Wesley 3, which is a fantastic operation. When I heard about this, I was shocked. You mentioned $14,000? You know that's a pittance sum.
It is.
It is, really, when you're operating like a job like that. I'm against the proposal to have another outside agency coming into Riverhead to honor or to whatever they want to do to us. We don't have much say anymore. Trouble is, all right, my wife and I, we're both 83. Okay? All the parts don't work like they used to. I still drive, but the problem is my wife is now going to have an operation on her foot. I've had a quadruple. My wife's had a triple. We're still surviving. If it wasn't for Riverhead Housing, I don't know what we'd do. The young lady sitting in the back, Christine, is one fantastic woman. To have her replaced by an outside agency after all the years she's put in helping us, I'm not able, I don't think, to travel to Greenport. I don't even go to Greenport. I don't go to Montauk where I used to fish years and years ago. I just can't stand. I need a knee operation. Well, I can't have that done until my wife is set up. I don't know why you have to bring another agency or we have to go to another agency outside of Riverhead.
Sir, I'm going to say this, and I don't say this lightly, but somebody that's not on the town board end, somebody's working on scare tactics.
Well,
let me finish, sir.
Go ahead.
This is scare tactics. Nobody on this board wants to cut your services. Nobody on this board wants to take you out of Riverhead. Somebody, and I have a suspicion, I know where it's coming from, are trying to scare you guys into thinking that this town board is going to do something that it's not going to do. The only thing that we're questioning is the fact that the building has to be sold. The building's not adequate for what they're using it for. It's not adequate for what the town's using it for. And I did the unthinkable thing, but look at their budget. And when everybody, when it all comes down to, in the end, when it all comes out in the wash, we haven't made any decisions except to sell the building.
Mm-hmm.
I myself have called Mr. Moore at John Wesley, and there's no such thing in terms of, this is not an outsourcing situation. This is a situation where we're going to be looking to see if there's a way to deliver services to you better, and if there's not, well, then it's going to stay the way it is, but it's just not going to stay in that building. And I'm a little upset that there are people out there engaging in these scare tactics, and I would like the press and everybody that's listening to my voice to know that this board is not throwing anybody out, ending the program. We're not doing any of that. And so against that backdrop, go ahead. I'm sorry for interrupting.
No, that's okay. It's just that I cannot understand why you have the idea to save $1 to bring another agency in who is not going to treat us the same as a Riverhead resident.
Sir, that's what I said. We have not said that.
But where do you think this rumor, why is it
I
all
think
of us seniors panicked in a way? What, are we all a bunch of yo-yos?
I think somebody on
You certainly didn't hear it from the town board.
You're going to have to go back to the source of where you heard the rumor, because I'm a pretty straight shooter. And if I tell you something, you can pretty much take it to the bank. We're selling the East Lawn building.
Okay.
It's not going to be available. The $14,000 is in the budget. I didn't know about it before. And if there's a way to do this better, where it doesn't cost us $14,000 and you get better services, like say a building on the ground floor, we as elected officials have to look at it. But as far as changing anything to make your life worse, outsourcing, going to Southampton, going to Greenport, nobody's talked about that. Nobody on this board has talked about that. And so it's coming from a source. You're going to have to look at the source yourself and see where you heard it from. Didn't come from here.
Well, I'm not accusing the board of saying they spread the rumor. I'm not saying that.
But it's not true, so let's end it.
But what you're trying to tell me now is that there are no operating or apartments in the town of Riverhead that can be used for the same purpose? There's a lot of stores.
We don't own the stores. We don't have any office space available in the town of Riverhead.
We will.
Until we do the only place that we might have, which would
East
not be
Avenue.
conducive to you,
No
East
ramp.
Avenue would be
East
capped.
Avenue. Well, maybe the fire department.
And there's nothing, there really isn't anything. The fire department would cost you
We
more
have
to
the
keep
old
air
fire
conditioning.
department.
Maybe.
But if we
You
put-
might as well keep the East Lawn
But if
building
we
that
put
We gotta do
the,
something with it. We gotta do something with the historian.
if we do what Councilor Wu wants to do, and put the Suffolk County Historical Society in there,
Yeah, well, we'll see.
We've got,
you know, that may-
we've got
that may
decisions
work.
to make about buildings.
I can
but-
tell you right now, it boils down to, sir, I can tell you now as a local councilman, it boils down to just relocating. I don't see a lot of change going on with the organization, not on my standpoint. It's just finding a better location.
yeah, that's what I'm looking for now, is the location.
Look for a better location for them, because they can't stay in that building that's falling down around them, that's all.
So in other words, what you're saying, that building is going to come down?
Well, it's not
We
gonna
don't-
come down, it's up for
It's
sale.
not gonna stay a municipal building.
I don't know when it's gonna be sold, it could be 6 months, it could be a year, it could be a year and a half. It's up for sale, and at some time, the office has to relocate. That gives us time to see what we can do, and see if we can relocate. I think rumors have started, if people call outside agencies on Southampton and Greenport, they talk to each other, and I think that's how rumors get started, or speculation gets started, that I was called to take over the housing, and that's how rumors get started. And speculation, so.
So in other words, what you're saying is it's just a rumor?
But I did not make any phone calls. I don't know if the supervisor did.
The only thing
I
I
did
did
not
was
make any.
visit the Riverhead Housing Development Corporation and said, you're not gonna be able to be here and the town doesn't have space for you anymore. You have to look for other space. Then I asked for a copy of their budget. Found out that the town spends $14,000 in the Riverhead Housing Alliance, and that's as far as it's gone. But let me ask you a question.
Sure.
If another group that did the same thing came in and delivered superior services to you, wouldn't that be a benefit to you?
That's a flip of the coin. Can you guarantee senior citizens that a new agency is going to come in and do what Riverhead Housing does?
I can't guarantee
Well,
anything.
the way
Okay, then why would you bring in another agency?
The way you're
that can't
praising
be?
them, I don't know if we could get another agency that will give you superior service.
I don't either.
This is what I don't know. See? So, I mean, we have to look into it. We are looking into it. I'm on your side. I will fight for you guys in the housing project. I think it's a great deal. And people on this board don't know how the housing project got started. I remember how it got started because I lived here at the time.
I remember.
And I worked here at the time. We had problems with rentals across the street, and no one could control them. And the housing came in, they controlled them because they have the authority to put people out that are disruptive, that do not keep the apartments up to date. So that's how this housing project was started, and it did save the town of Riverhead a lot of aggravation at that time. And that's why no one hears about you, because you're doing a great job. So we don't hear about you. We don't get any complaints. And that's how I like it.
Thank you for your time.
I think Mary Jane said it best when she said, if it ain't broke, why fix it?
Hello,
My name is Theora Phillips, and I live in John Wesley 2. I've been there ever since 1999. I've been on Riverhead Housing since 2004. I have a medical condition, and I don't feel that I could travel a long distance to the housing office. And I think that they do a great job. They come in to people that can't go out. And in my development, not only speaking for myself as a senior citizen, but I'm speaking for the other senior citizens that lives in the development that cannot be traveling and don't have transportation or either funds to do what they have to do to get to a housing further away from Riverhead. And if could find something here in Riverhead for the Riverhead Housing Department, it would be appreciated with all the senior citizens, because it's be tough on us, especially with people with a lot of medical disabilities.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Lindall. I live in John Wesley also, and I've been receiving assistance since I retired, and Riverhead Housing does a great job, and I really hope that they stay in the town. And I just don't want to say too much. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. They're really very good.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is George Bartnick. I want to make a statement very quickly here because I think everybody's keeping an eye on the clock and wants to get home to the debate. I just want to emphasize how important I think the North Fork Environmental Council feels to have certain criteria that you would have in writing guidelines for appointments to the zoning board and to the planning board. I think, as you're probably aware, there was a decision that was made some time ago regarding a project up on Sound Avenue that was very close. And if a certain member of the zoning board, if there was a like-minded person on the zoning board who made the same decision, certainly the town would have been in a situation with litigation over that determination. Fortunately, it turned out where the determination of the zoning board did come out correctly. With that said, there's another issue that I think that I've been working with Jody, or have mentioned to Jody. It's the pump house down in Grangeville Park. I think that you're probably aware that it's absolute disgrace. The conditions of the building, the things that are going on in that building. I started working with the bid 2 years ago, trying to come to some kind of terms with improvement of the building, security of the building. Nothing has gotten accomplished. I just think that you should be aware that something has got to be done. The kind of business that's being attracted into that building is not the kind of businesses you want going on downtown.
Right.
If the building, I mean, years ago they had the building boarded up, so at least you couldn't have the kind of activities going into that building that are taking place there now.
There's a resident, I think you're familiar with her, she's made a proposal through Chris Kempner. It got brought to the board, but Ms. Muma never got to the board. So she's on the agenda, she wants to do something.
And that's why yours got side rails.
And we will do something. And
I feel it's important that we send it out for a request for proposal for
So
anybody that may want to improve that
That's still
structure.
moving forward.
Yes, it is.
That's good.
But that's a historic structure. It should stay there, but I think we should secure it by putting either metal bars up
or
metal doors so people
you don't want it to look,
can't get in there. But that is
I
a
think
nice
that's,
structure.
when is that being planned? That's going to be a work session?
It's on, not for this Thursday, the following.
All right. If you don't mind, I'll...
It's at 10 a.m. That's what you want.
Thank you, George.
Quick question. The railroad station, is that still available? Why can't you put Riverhead Housing there?
The bids were closed. That's interesting. Yeah, that's an interesting proposal. The bids were closed. I have a phone call into them. I'm not, Jill, am I allowed to say anything about the railroad station bids? No. No.
I think he's waiting to hear from you, Sean.
Well, if it doesn't go through, that's
actually a very good idea.
I would think the MTA would want money. They
No,
wanna
I
raise
thought
the
they-
fares.
I thought they gave it to you and said,
Oh, it's not ours, no, the
Not ours,
MTA is
no.
doing
They
it.
didn't give it to us, they let us use it, and they let us, rent it out if we could get appropriate tenants, but we couldn't get the appropriate tenants.
well, why don't you approach the MTA and tell them, do they want to donate the use of the building to Riverhead Housing
Well,
and write it off as a as a charity
They went out to an RFP,
if it doesn't go through?
Yeah,
Well,
so we gotta
the-
find that.
Yeah, but the problem with that is, and this is why we couldn't, is everybody wants those bathrooms open to the public. And there's only 2 bathrooms, and you have to walk into the main, office to go to the left to get to the bathrooms. And people don't want their offices with strangers, walking in and using the bathroom. So that was the problem we had.
Well, we will, figure out what we're doing with it. The MTA will have to figure out what they're doing with it, with that RFP, and I'm gonna make a call to them. All right, does anybody else wish to be heard? Not seeing
I make a
anybody.
motion that we close the town board meeting.
All in
So moved.
favor? Aye.